Other headlines now: an intense and at times combative hearing for the head of New York City schools on Capitol Hill today. Lawmakers grilled Chancellor David Banks on his handling of anti-Semitism in the classroom, and not everyone is happy with his answers. We have team coverage here for you tonight. Education reporter Doug Williams spoke with teachers and school leaders to get their reaction. Let's begin our coverage with political reporter Marcia Kramer. She's live in D.C. and she also attended today's hearing. Marcia.
Well, Christine, when School Chancellor David Banks came to Capitol Hill today, he didn't come alone. He brought members of an advisory council that's helping him deal with this huge increase in Islamophobia and anti-Semitic incidents that have surged in the last 7 months.
It is not only my job to produce good readers and writers, we have to produce good people, young people who demonstrate respect and appreciation for our shared humanity.
Schools Chancellor David Banks appearing with his hometown cheering squad after a grueling 2-hour grilling during a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism.
My message to Congress today was clear. Anti-Semitism and all forms of hate have no place in our public schools.
The tough questions for Banks came from New York Republicans. Freshman Republican Brandon Williams of Syracuse, who faces a tough re-election campaign, grilled Banks about demonstrations at Hillcrest High School over a teacher who posted a picture with an I stand with Israel sign.
How can Jewish students feel safe at New York City public schools when you can't even manage to terminate the principal of Open Season on Jews High School?
It's not Open Season on Jews School. It's called Hillcrest High School. That's the name of the school.
Upstate Congresswoman Elise Stefanik wants to be Donald Trump's running mate.
You had a teacher at Gotham Tech High School in Queens. He posted images of a Hamas paraglider to his social media. What disciplinary action has taken against this teacher?
I think what that employee did, absolutely disgusting. I cannot give you the specifics on the action that was taken.
Yes, you can.
Afterwards, Banks questioned the motives of some of the committee members.
I think some people are happy enough to just see if they can create a viral moment for themselves of a gotcha.
Now, the Chancellor says that the antidote to anti-Semitism is much more education, but he admits that there is a lot more to do. Reporting live on Capitol Hill, I'm Marcia Kramer, CBS 2 News.
Marcia, a lot more to do, obviously, but what steps has the Chancellor taken so far?
Well, first of all, he's retrained 1,600 principals at all the schools in New York City, and he also last week with the mayor announced a new hate curriculum. But I think the most interesting thing is that he's going to develop a new program to teach kids about the history of Jews in the United States and around the world. He's working with Jewish groups to develop the curriculum, and he hopes that he's going to have it ready by next fall.
Marcia Kramer, live for us from Capitol Hill tonight. Marcia, thank you. Now, the Chancellor's testimony did lead to some strong reactions from city council members and also city teachers. CBS 2's Doug Williams is here now to break down some of the local reaction. And Doug, I know you spoke exclusively to one educator who says that she witnessed firsthand the DOE not doing enough to prevent anti-Semitism in schools.
Christine, that's right. We spoke to a current Department of Education employee who asked that we not identify her or where she's worked due to fears of retribution. She says that in many ways she saw this issue coming for a few reasons. First, DOE policies that she says are very much against suspending students. And second, that Jewish students are not classified in her mind like other races, ethnicities, and religions in a way that would protect them from acts of bias or anti-Semitism. Take a listen. We changed her voice due to her fear of any further pushback.
I'm really not surprised and yet appalled by the response.
So what we've seen in terms of the response to anti-Semitism, have you spoken out about that and received pushback for doing so?
Yes, definitely. I've received pushback. There are many people in positions of authority that believe that the cause is just in terms of the uprising. Their situation is not seen as even as real, right? It's kind of like, oh, they're exaggerating. Islamophobia is more real than anti-Semitism.
So, Chancellor Banks, we heard him say that he has taken action. Marcia outlined some of the steps that he has taken. Why are others saying not enough is being done?
We spoke to Councilmember Vernikoff, who is a member of the City Council's Jewish caucus. Her main point of contention was a lack of discipline when it pertains to what happened at Hillcrest, for example, where the principal has been reassigned and not fired. We also spoke to the attorney representing the teacher and security guard who say they experienced anti-Semitism at Oranges.
It would have been a great opportunity to say publicly shouldn't have happened and we're sorry. But again, we'll look forward to hearing what they have to say in court.
When anti-Semitism and harassment happens under the watch of a principal, how come the principal gets to stay on DOE payroll? If that's the process needs to change.
How can that be?
Every employee who works in our schools has due process rights, sir.
And I wanted to learn more about that because it's easy for anybody to see a teacher or a principal do something reprehensible from the sidelines and say that they should be fired or suspended. But those principles that are in line with the DOE and the importance that they weigh on due process, I reached out to both unions, the UFT for comment as well as the union that represents principals. We did not hear back, but I did want to learn more about the details of their actual agreements with the Department of Education and what they're protected from and not protected from.
Well, this is a story that we will obviously be following up on, so we'll wait to for them to get back to you and let us know what they say, Doug.
Will do, Christine.
Thank you. On our website, you can find continuing coverage and the link to watch the full hearing from today. That is at cbsnewyork.com.